Hello and welcome to the Our Metroidvania podcast. This is Cauldrath from the Our Metroidvania subreddit and Discord.
Hi, I'm Master. I'm also from there.
Hey, I'm Atcero, and I am also from there.
And if you're watching this and wondering what happened to episode 2, somebody who shall remain nameless said something they shouldn't have and had to be classified.
Yeah, the FBI really didn't like us for that episode, sadly.
Yep.
Fenyx saw her
But-
captain and fellow soldiers in the distance.
So this week,
Through a trick of
this
the light,
game
she
is
could almost see them
Immortals,
waving
Fenyx
and
Rising.
calling to her.
Phoenix!
So
Again.
pre-recording.
You
We're
may not
going to
your
be
brotherly
discussing
Giron,
open
but
world
I will make
games
something
and
of
the
you
comparison to
yet.
Metroidvanias.
Try not to drop it this
The
time.
differences between them, the similarities.
Don't let them get to you. They're just jealous. It's
How
not
does
often
open
someone
world
has a
compare
brother
to
like yours.
non-linear? That is the main topic, essentially.
Loco
Well,
can
they're
you
both
hear me?
non-linear.
You've gone
Just-
cold.
They're,
What is a
What
line?
magic is this?
a line is
Where are you,
is
brother?
Unarmed
the
and
geometric
lost,
figure
Phoenix
created
was
by 2
vulnerable.
points extending into infinity in both directions.
I have to be calm. I have
you,
to
Google.
follow my training.
I did not Google that.
Yeah, you learned that in, 8th grade geometry. Actually, you
Yeah,
learned that before it, in, 4th grade
My
geometry.
brother's sword. No.
Yeah, most of the time when people say something as a line, they actually mean it's a line segment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a ray. Don't forget
a ray
rays.
Since when?
The ray still goes to infinity. It's just
Only on one end, though. Also, gotta
But-
say, that's a sick-looking sword.
Yeah, it's Achilles' sword.
Oh, he's dead.
Lagiron! Brother!
He's just turned to stone. He'll be fine.
He's lost an arm. He's shattered.
You've always been my
People in
hero.
mythology regularly
North
lose
Star.
their limbs and other body
I
parts.
will
That's
They'll
bring
be
true.
you
fine.
back. I swear.
Yeah, see, she's saying she's gonna bring him back. Maybe he's not gonna be very happy when he comes back, but
It reminds me of Dr. Stone when they bring people back who've lost limbs and it does not look good.
This protagonist looks uncanny.
Phoenix had never been allowed
it's
to
actually a
hold the
custom
hallowed
character,
sword.
but it's
A
the
gift
default
from
one.
Achilles for
Like,
bravery and
there
valor,
is a character creation screen. I just went through it instantly.
as if forged for it.
Achilles' sword? Brother
Oh yeah, this is actually I skipped the first 8
Is
minutes of
something wrong with your
cinematics
voice?
I never
before
got
there
a
was
sword.
any gameplay
Just
whatsoever.
saying.
Phoenix looked up. She was not alone.
Gotta say, I'm liking the banter.
By
I
the
heard the
gods!
banter between Zeus
Stay
and
back!
Prometheus was really good.
She readied her sword
Yeah, it's pretty
for
decent.
her first real fight.
It's not the worst.
Oh yeah, you may want to mute the game
Oh, it got
because
loud.
there's talking, and we were also talking.
Yeah, no, it looks like it got louder. I had it really low too. There we go. But yeah, open world games. So, how many open world games have you two actually played?
I've played Skyrim. I've played
How
Fallout
much-
New Vegas.
How much of Skyrim? Did you actually beat the main quest?
Didn't beat the main quest. I went through a couple of side quests. I did the assassin
Oh, Dark
quest
Brotherhood.
at some point. I did some faction stuff. I don't remember if I finished the faction stuff.
So just Skyrim.
I did
And Fallout New Vegas, which
I
is
went
kind of small, sadly.
I did a bunch of the stuff in one of the DLCs. Also,
Yeah, I played Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, all the Batman Arkham games.
But those are
Hey, I played those too.
Metroidvanias.
I usually don't finish open world games that I play. Played 10 hours of The Witcher 3. It was okay.
Yeah, I
Never
played that.
finished it.
Did you play
Uh,
Gwent a lot?
I never played Gwent.
Wow.
The funny thing is, like, the DLC for The Witcher 3, I went there, and then I, like, started doing quests, and then I got all the Gwent cards, and I'm like, I think I'm done here. And I just didn't play anymore.
Once all that matters, I've heard in Witcher 3.
Yeah. I enjoy the game. Like, I feel like The Witcher 3 is the game that has the best side quests. Like, it feels like it has a very consistent experience throughout, whereas most open world games have, like, pretty decent main quests and then just, like, phone in all the side quests. Whereas
Yeah.
the side quests in Witcher 3 are about at the same level.
Oblivion be like.
I'm sure I've played some other open world games. I just can't remember what they are because
Breath of the
mostly those
Wild?
games aren't memorable to me. I see. I did play Breath of the Wild.
Becoming clear.
No better than I do. For some reason.
Count Genshin Impact as an open world game?
Yeah, I did.
Yes, I would.
Alright.
Didn't finish Breath of the Wild either. I did like 3 out of 4 of the things and
Divine
then
Beasts.
went have the Switch.
In Assassin's Creed, I played a few of those.
Okay.
I mean, I've played I've played the Shadow of Mordor.
Oh yeah.
I heard that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's the one with the Nemesis system. Like, it's kind of like it creates procedural stories for you as you play along.
Yeah.
Reminds me of
Kinda.
Skyrim's Infinite Quests.
Yeah,
It's a little
those are-
overrated.
yeah, the Infinite Quests in Skyrim are definitely more overrated than the Nemesis system.
Oh, okay.
But the Nemesis system, you can kind of like ruin it if you play too well, because like if you get the option to like kill the orcs, or you can like recruit them. And if
Mhm.
you recruit all of the orcs, then all of a sudden the system doesn't do anything anymore.
But you have to recruit a bunch of them for the story.
Yeah, I think there's like some points that there's a requirement for you to recruit a certain number before it allows you to progress.
Oh my god, there's swimming down in this game? It's already better than Breath of the Wild.
But do you drown when you run out of stamina?
I don't know, I never actually did. Like, Genshin Impact made me really scared of like running out of stamina.
Genshin Impact makes me mad that there is no, like, swimming underwater, and I really do hope they add that when we get to Fontaine.
See, you people, both of you play Genshin, and I just have no idea what anything means that you're saying.
Oh, it would take
It-
way
that's-
too long to explain, too.
Just imagine anime Breath of the Wild with gacha.
And waifus.
Okay.
Well, are there any gacha games without waifus?
That's true, that's true. Well, I mean, kinda Castlevania, Grimoire.
Grimoire not have any waifus?
I mean, they got the standard waifus, but they're not like waifus.
Is Alucard a waifu?
Yes, okay, that's fair. Fair. Alright, so. Open world games and Metroidvanias, what do they have in common? They both have a degree of you can go technically anywhere at the very... Well, open world games pretty much throw you in and say, hey, you can go do anything right away. After usually the tutorial dungeon or quest.
But
You
they
know.
get you in some way, usually with like strong enemies.
Or there's just
Depending
like,
on the game.
Yeah, depending
or
on
there's just like walls, just like you can't go this way. Like they just do plot gating.
Yeah.
That's especially in like Assassin's Creed. It's just like, oh, you left the area, didn't synchronize.
Yeah. That's never a problem in any of the Elder Scrolls, actually. For the 5 main ones.
Yeah.
Like, once you're out, you can do whatever. You can kill a chicken. Funnily enough, I never killed a chicken once, so I never got arrested.
There are some areas that you have to like get transported to, like
Yes.
like you have to take a boat to somewhere, and so you have to like unlock that.
Yeah.
In
That's...
Skyrim-
Oh, yep.
Well,
No,
In
you
Skyrim you can do whatever, but like it kind of mostly scales with your level, right? So you don't
yes.
actually make any progress anywhere ever.
Unless you do the main quest, yes. And that's the same with any Elder Scrolls, actually. They all scale.
I
What's
thought
even the point
I
of
thought they
leveling up?
I thought they introduced that in Oblivion. Like Morrowind doesn't have scaling, does it?
Yeah, it does, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I am a low level and I walk everywhere.
Yeah, but like I think that there's yeah, I'm not sure how. But I remember when Oblivion came out, like there was a big to do about it having like them adding scaling to it. So maybe they just made it more important.
Yeah. Well, actually thinking about it, I can see it scaling for quests, because when I fought Hercene way back when for Blood Moon expansion, he was incredibly hard for me. I was underleveled for him, but the random like mooks and stuff and the basic enemies, they were really easy. They were fine.
Now let's settle up. Time for you to help me against
Oh,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
they do a fake credit roll.
they do
at
the
beginning.
Donkey Kong.
That's cute.
Yeah. Oh, I like all the Zeus.
I won't lie, there were moments that dragged, but you really got me with that ending.
Yeah, so I think one of the games that best exemplifies the difference between a Metroidvania and a open world game is like Batman Arkham City, where it's an open world game, like you can go anywhere in the city that you want, but there's still like ability gating to get into certain areas.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that why people think there's a...
It's Tartarus.
think it's an Metroidvania?
Tartarus.
So
Probably.
the first one, like Arkham Asylum, has a lot more like is a lot more similar to a traditional Metroidvania, where there's like you're in an interior pretty much the whole game, and there's a lot of areas you don't have access to until you get the abilities to go there. But it's also largely plot gated, so it's like maybe a Metroidvania, but I I'm kind of leaning towards no because of the amount of plot gating.
You plot gating?
You know, didn't people complain a lot about the mini dungeons in Breath of the Wild?
Oh, I hate the shrines.
So why does Phoenix also have shrines?
Well, no, some people really like shrines, but like people who wanted a traditional Zelda experience didn't like the shrines because they weren't dungeons.
Yeah, they had no dungeons in Breath of the Wild, and that made me so salty. So mad. Even...
Well, the tutorial island had dungeons, like some
Eh,
small ones.
they weren't, like, you didn't get items, though. And items were, like, a huge part. Getting the hook shot, getting, you know, good
Yeah,
bow
you got
and
items.
arrow.
You got items on the tutorial island. You got
Items that break in 3 hits.
Yeah, items that break,
No, I
and then
mean,
you got
like,
the Sheikah
the-
Slate.
You
They're
got
not
like
dungeons,
no, you
they're
got the
activities.
bombs and you get the magnet. Like you get all the abilities
Yeah,
there,
but the Sheikah
and one at each
Slate
dungeon.
sucks. The Sheikah Slate sucks. I want
Open
a hook shot. I want my Deku nuts. I want all that fun stuff. And then they said no.
open world games are generally games of activities instead of puzzles or dungeons or good things.
They're just stuff to do.
Yeah.
Actually, that is kind of what they are.
Oh, look at that. You got a double jump. Right away.
Yeah, you get a lot of abilities like right and like, and now I get the axe.
Oh my god, that is a big axe.
Yep.
You turned a lot of people into a lot of things.
This is like the axe of Atalanta, and then your sword's the like sword of Achilles, and the wings are like the wings of Icarus.
I was gonna say, yeah,
like-
probably Icarus.
Yeah, so it's like literally just tons of legendary weapon things, just right off the bat, just lying around.
You see, if you make your game based on mythology and other well-known things, people will be mildly interested even if your game's terrible.
I heard this game
Yeah.
was halfway decent though.
Sure, but if it was terrible, would you not still be a little interested just because they have all this random mythology?
No, because Greek mythology is overplayed.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a lot of Greek mythology games.
Yeah. Now, if it was Egyptian mythology, then I'll consider it.
it's exactly what Castlevania does with all of their random like B villains who are just monsters, like Frankenstein's monster.
No, it's called the creature. Thank you.
It was too much for her to bear.
Dracula.
Yeah, it's like they have
Okay.
a checklist of all the things that
Yeah.
are in that mythology to. It is kind of interesting that all the like horror monsters wound up just shoved together into like one thing.
I like
Because
it.
like when Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, she didn't like write it to be in the same universe as Bram Stoker's Dracula. I don't know who wrote which one first, but like
Well, no, she was just a horror writer. She liked to.
yeah, like
Yeah.
there was no like collaboration between the different horror writers to like decide that these would all be in the same thing, but then they just wound up all together.
Yep. Ben Helsing, the movie, did not help that either.
For now,
Or did it help it? Is it helping to make it that way or helping to not make it that way?
It didn't help it to not make it that way.
Okay. I mean, if it wasn't that way, we wouldn't have Castlevania.
That's very true.
just scrap on discarded junk. Who knows where those have been?
Many a night.
All
Oh,
right.
yeah, so yeah, I think when it comes to ability gating, like the difference between a open world game and a Metroidvania is that Metroidvania, the ability gates keep you in, whereas in an open world game, the ability gates keep you out.
Yep. And
I'd
that's
agree
only
with
if the
that.
game even has ability gating. Like
Yeah.
Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, they don't have ability gating unless it's a main quest. Only the main quest is gated by plots or by abilities. Like Skyrim, it was getting certain shouts. You were gated.
Yeah.
Definitely feels much different being kept in versus out. Even if it's functionally the same.
Well, there's a difference in that you can like. There's still lots of area to explore in an open world game, even when you can't go into the interior areas.
Yeah. Like when you've explored 90% of, let's say, like a Metroidvania map, and then you find an ability and you go to like the other side of the map and open up 2 rooms, and then you get something else. That's a lot different than opening up a new biome.
Right.
Feels more like you're going around doing things rather than exploring, maybe.
Yeah. I would say that the two genres are both very focused on exploration, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's important to. I think there are subgenres of exploration that people don't talk about because they aren't really defined. And that's one of the reasons why people get so confused about the definition of Metroidvania. Because someone may look at like Skyrim and say, yeah, I'm exploring around, it's non-linear, this game's a Metroidvania, or something like that. When it's the process of exploring another type of game would be different.
That's nice.
Yeah, like remember when we were talking about the definition of the Metroidvania and the like make like the version of the definition that's like compared to horror, where it's about the emotion that's evoked and the like feeling of exploration. So
Yeah.
if we went with that definition, you would probably consider a open world game to be a Metroidvania.
Consider an open world game to be a checklist of things to do.
but you're exploring that checklist.
I mean,
Actually,
definitely
like a
depends on
checklist.
who.
This is very much a checklist. You're like, it has this thing where you just look around, and then if you like have your cursor pointed at something, then it like adds it to your map. And so you're basically just going around and creating the checklist of things to do in the area.
Oh, that's kind of like almost in Oblivion. If you get high enough and certain vantage points, it will give you a list of locations you have not discovered yet, and that
Well,
you could go do.
I think it's a bit different because that's how a lot of open world games do it. You know, like especially with the stupid Ubisoft towers in every game,
Well, those
where you climb the tower and then it reveals the map around you. But with this, you're at least like it's like a pointless mini game to reveal the map around you.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of this mechanic. It feels like it's like busy work, just wasting my time. Because it's just like sweep back and forth, and then you like
Yeah.
try to hot and cold game for each of them.
Yeah, I would definitely say that exploration, at least to me, feels a lot different in a Metroidvania versus an open world game.
Yeah.
That's an important distinction.
Do you think you could be more specific in like how they differ?
It depends on the game, of course, but sure, I'll try. So, open world game, a lot of times you'll have an idea of where you want to go, maybe for say a main quest or something else, and you'll go in that direction and encounter things along the way, maybe get sidetracked, and you kind of meander about on your way there because it's easy to do that since you usually don't take a direct path to wherever you're going. You'll be bouncing between points of interest, and that sort of doing that feels a lot different than in a Metroidvania and you're exploring somewhere new. You don't really know what you're looking for.
So would you say that exploration in a Metroidvania feels more purposeful, maybe?
Maybe more purposeful.
I would say
I
that
mean,
depends on the world and how much depth a creator puts, or the devs put into the world.
Mm.
think generally in an open world game or even just like 3D games, you can look at where you're going and that you can't like look a screen away in a Metroidvania really. And that's a big part of it. Because anything can be on the next screen in a Metroidvania. And sure, lots of Metroidvanias will, at least some will like put markers on the map or reveal the map for an area you haven't been to yet. But that's not a full map usually. And sure, an open world game, it's not going to give you a full map, but you can at least see points of interest from a vantage point
Well,
and decide
that's
to go to those places.
a lot of the 3D open world games are set in outdoor areas, which does allow you to see in the distance. But a lot of Metroidvanias are like in castles or underground, where you wouldn't be able to see into the distance even if it was in 3D.
Yeah,
So,
that too.
so if you had a 3D version of, like in say Metroid Prime, you're in underground. You're like it's more like a, well, some would say it is a Metroidvania, but you're underground a lot, and like inside of buildings, so you can't see in the distance in that. And I guess that is something that is true in pretty much every open world game is that you're in an exterior for most of the game, at least in the like open world part.
Mm-hmm. And if you're not, you're usually in a dungeon.
Yeah. Here I'm like, oh, my frame rate is really crappy. I'm gonna turn down the graphics. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to restart it.
Doesn't look like it worked.
No.
F.
The animations in this game just look like this game in general to me looks kind of uncanny. And it's kind of it just they put some amount of effort into like the art and stuff, but then it's lacking the polish of like a super AAA game, I guess.
Mm.
I prefer if like, I don't know. I want to judge this game for graphics.
Was this
Well,
done by Ubisoft?
yeah.
Okay.
It looks like they went for like a kind of Pixar-y looking art style though, so they were trying to avoid the uncanny valley by doing that. But I guess you would say that they weren't successful.
Yes.
I personally think it looks fine.
And the environments and everything look good. The characters look strange to me.
I've seen worse characters.
It's not on Andromeda's level, but
King's Quest 8 level.
Gorgon?
it's also like
Real.
kind of like I don't want to say it's generic, but it's generic in a sort of way to me. And I'm not quite sure why. Like I can't think of anything else I've seen that looks exactly like it.
If I sneak up on it.
Oh, just the art style is generic to you?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess I could see that.
Like, it's not generic enough for me to explain why it's why I think it looks generic.
It does have kind of the same look that like pretty much every like cartoony 3D platformer had in like the PS3 era.
It's a Fortnite clone, obviously.
Yeah.
I did not play too many of those games, so maybe that's why I don't recognize the inspiration.
Fancy gauntlet.
Bracers. I've seen them in drawings.
Yep, it's another Breath of the Wild ripoff.
Is there a gauntlet in Breath of the Wild?
Heracles.
Slayer
Right.
of beasts, defied Hera and accomplished the impossible wearing those
So
and now
it isn't a gauntlet in Breath of the Wild, but you'll see what ability it gives, and it is one that exists in Breath of the Wild.
I did watch someone play through a bit of this game, and I remember seeing things going, wow, that's literally just Breath of the Wild, but I don't remember what they were. This is not a memorable game to me.
It does take a lot of mechanics from Breath of the Wild. Like you do get the glide. I guess Breath of the Wild didn't have a double jump.
so
No.
after boldly besting the Gorgon that ambushed Heracles.
I don't want to just diss this game because I don't really have a good reason for dissing the game. But also I kind of want to diss the game anyways.
Oh my god.
Is it just because it's an Ubisoft game, and Ubisoft games deserve to be dissed?
I didn't even realize it was Ubisoft. Thought it was some weird, like, AA
This
game.
is Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Hold up, that island is straight up from Majora's Mask. Excuse me.
Take a screenshot.
Wait, why?
Oh, I'll take. Oh, to compare.
Oh. No. The one in Majora's Mask wasn't an actual island, it was a living turtle.
Oh. The frame rate looks distracting, and also is it slowing down?
There are 4 enemies on screen.
Yeah.
4 enemies on the screen. Oh boy.
Well, the frame rate
This
was bad
is-
to begin with. What do you expect
yeah.
with more enemies?
And I have a 2080, so it's not like I have like a potato computer.
It's not good. Oh, also, if you had like ray tracing on or something.
It did
That's
set it to the
reducing the frame
highest.
rate.
Yeah, it did set it to like the highest by default.
Oh,
So,
gross.
Right. It's always a really satisfying feeling when You just turn all the settings down on a game and suddenly it runs perfectly.
Right.
Like, yeah. Last time this happened to me, I was running the Halo Infinite technical demo at like 40 frames, and then I turned down the resolution scale. Still, it looks just as good, and I just have double the frame rate. And I've never had such a dramatic increase in a game.
I had an increase on my parents' laptop. Skyrim was set to like medium. Set everything to low. The trees were tearing into the ground, but man, did it run fine.
Nice. Cauldrath probably can't relate because he's got this gamer PC. Runs everything well.
Oh
Defaults to
yeah,
high
Apparently
settings.
not.
stasis.
You expect
Alright.
from a Ubisoft game.
Yeah, that's definitely the stasis.
No, it's the magnet.
Oh, the magnet. Oh, yeah. Except it's not on magnet.
Do you think, like, at their office they just had pictures of Breath of the Wild, like, stapled onto the corkboard? You wouldn't staple things onto a corkboard, you'd
Like, it's just like, do this.
push pin them.
Make this game.
Yeah.
But with Greeks!
List of ideas we're going to steal from Breath of the Wild.
I mean, Genshin Impact's pretty, like, stole a lot from it, too.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't want to get into too much of, like, what is originality. When I say games are stealing things from other games, I don't mean that the games stealing things are bad, nor do I mean that they're necessarily stealing things. I mean, this is kind of an exception. This is a bit of an exception in that there's a lot of things that are very clearly inspired by Breath of the Wild, but
How do I get
for
in?
most games, if someone says something was stolen from something else, I mean, it probably wasn't. Or if it was, who cares? It's an inspiration.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you, take one thing from one game and then, like, another thing from another game, yeah,
That's how you
whatever,
make
fine.
games.
But if it's like, if you take everything from one game and only that game, then that's where it starts being an issue.
I mean, this game's still a unique experience, I assume, even though it has copied many mechanics from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
at least has the Greek mythology thing going on.
But if it didn't have the
doesn't-
mythology,
your weapons don't break.
That's true.
Fell into that vault.
You have a double jump.
I promise.
God.
seems like you jump into a lot of holes in this game.
Yeah, these are pretty much the shrines from Breath of the Wild.
Mm.
Which is sad.
So let me get this straight. Instead of heating up
This
Oh yeah,
is
when
true.
you
to speak with the Oracle,
when you're in the like loading screen, there's like gems that fly by, and if you pick them, like if you catch them, then that's actually like a crafting material.
Oh,
That's
cool.
fun.
Was getting ever closer to the Temple of Apollo and the solution to the terrible curse inflicted upon her brother.
So these shrines, why exactly,
yes,
besides,
remind me to erase
is not having dungeons the only reason you hate shrines?
truly a good
Me?
person.
Pretty-
His first
Oh.
Yeah, it's not. Well, same here. I don't really mind the existence of shrines. It's just like I wanted a game with dungeons, and there were no dungeons.
Me.
You think it would have been better if instead of having some activities to do, you just found an upgrade
Like you
where
just
the
found an
entrance would be?
upgrade and then left.
Well, yeah, like
Oh,
where the
like-
entrance would be, you just found an upgrade there instead.
Well, part of the thing is here they're tutorializing things, so I think it's still useful to have these areas.
Sure. The vast majority of shrines in Breath of the Wild do not tutorialize anything
Right.
Yeah.
inside the tutorial. So I'm doing like 30 combat shrines. How many are there?
There are 120 shrines in all.
And how many combat shrines are there out of those?
I actually, let me look it up. Search. There are 20.
I mean, I think only 20.
Yeah.
Felt like there were more. Oh wait, okay, weren't there 20 added in DLC though?
There could have been, yeah. I never got the DLC, so I would have no idea.
If it is the case, then it would be 120 of those are combat. It's not the main problem with shrines is that. So I mean, I get how you want players to be able to go in any direction really, and still get the rewards that they need. So you're always getting like the health or stamina from the shrine plus whatever random loot you find inside. But it's just once you've gotten enough of that, you don't need that many of them to really play the game. And if you do try to do all the shrines, it just feels really tedious and you're not being rewarded in any way. And I'd say it's even worse than just collecting like missile tanks in Metroid or like health ups in Castlevania.
Imagine actually seeking out those health ups.
I don't know, it feels pretty similar to the missiles, like the
Yeah.
level of reward you get from them.
Yeah, it's more investment. Even if it's just a super easy shrine, you still have to go through the usually not too interesting, but sometimes interesting activities to get the reward. And you find the missile tank, you find an HP, you walk through the room to get it. Takes a couple seconds, unless it's like a shine spark puzzle or something. Really puzzle and activity, sorry. But it's a level of investment. Not to mention just finding the darn things in Breath of the Wild. You have to go all over the map. And of course, there's an argument to be made against even trying to 100% open world game like that. And of course, people who made it realize that, and that's why the Korok seeds, there's more of them than you will need to find ever, and like the max reward is what, like 300 to 100? I don't know.
I think it's 300 and some, and then you get literally a giant turd as reward. So, I mean, at least when you did all the shrines, you got the outfit of the wild, you got the classic Link outfit. You didn't get anything like that for Korok seeds.
There's 900 seeds, and you find less than half of them to max out your inventory completely.
Ugh.
Which, of course, that is a good decision, because imagine hunting all over the map for Korok seeds.
Yeah.
Finding less than half of them, like the density of the ones you haven't found would be enough to where you could wander around and find them no matter where you are, unless you've thoroughly cleared out that area, I think. You could say that Korok seeds are more akin to the minor upgrades you would find in a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, some of them can be like, oh, I gotta throw the rock at the right angle, but most of them are very simple to complete.
Yeah, the major issue is finding where you're supposed to go.
Yeah. I would honestly say, for that in kind of Metroidvanias, at least Metroidvanias usually, and not all, have a hint for those upgrades and like kind of try to guide you or give you hints on where they might be. The Korok seeds and other open world games with not collectibles, but even doing quests, there's like no hints whatsoever, and it's almost like a luck that you find them.
Some of them will mark a lot of things on the map. Like I remember, it was very easy to find everything in Shadow of Mordor because everything is just marked on the map, including like collectibles.
Open world games tend to have a lot more empty space than Metroidvanias. So it's harder to like check everything. Like imagine if you had to like hit every single wall and floor in Skyrim to find everything.
Right. It's
Yeah.
also it's much different combing the map of a Metroidvania versus the hundreds of square kilometers of an open world game.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, what? Skyrim was 16 square miles. I think Breath of the Wild was slightly bigger. I mean, it wasn't like it was Daggerfall where it was the size of Great Britain.
Yeah, a lot of that
Roughly.
was procedurally generated, wasn't it?
Yes, and there was nothing. Great tracts of land.
See, Google says I'm getting conflicting information for how large the Breath of the Wild map is. 84 square kilometers seems to be the size of the Breath of the Wild map.
Imagine if
bad.
there was a Metroidvania with that much space. And
That
just like how long it would take to like look for everything.
that would actually be hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, going everywhere in an open world game is it can be hard. There's lots of stuff, especially lots of space and useless things.
Yup.
One of the reasons why exploration is different between 2D and 3D games.
Well, I feel like that's just more how they are tend to be designed. Like that's the way things are done, not necessarily like 3D games don't automatically mean that they're that way. It's just like people tend to design 3D games with a bunch of extra empty space.
Yeah. To
Sure.
essentially, because that's, in a sense, their world building.
I feel like the games that end up deciding to make more condensed map end up not making an open world game. Like is the new God of War open world? Would you call it
Kind
that?
of. I would say it's a mix. Like, once you're done with the main quest for the most part, and kind of even before that, you are allowed to explore quite a few different places.
I
But,
would
oh,
go
yeah.
ahead.
No, you're good.
Oh, I would equate the new God of War more to a Zelda game than
Yeah.
like say Skyrim.
Sure. In general though, would you I think I would say that the more open world-ish games are the ones that are closest to Metroidvanias, rather than like a traditional open world game. Could be Elder Scrolls or whatever.
Yeah.
Because those have they're open to an extent, but they still are guided experiences.
And
Whereas,
that's...
well,
Yeah.
open world games can, guide you. And obviously, quests and things explicitly guide you. That is not the same.
Yeah, an open world game can't really guide you by using level design as much. Like they can do some of the level design tricks where they like draw your attention in a direction, but they can't do the things where it's like you can only go in a certain direction because otherwise they would stop being open world games.
They have their own toolkit for that kind of thing, like lines of sight.
Yeah. Whereas in a Metroidvania, you can use the level, like you can use containing them with the levels and also those same tricks. So it's just you have more tools in your toolbox to guide the player around.
There's nothing to worry about. If I had wanted to hurt you, I
And
could
it's easier to
easily
railroad them
come
into doing what
back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just lock all the doors and then
you.
they have to like finally shoot the ceiling and then they can go on.
Atcero.
You could just do the Twilight Princess thing of, oh no, there's just random darkness and enemies here. I gotta go do the thing before I do the other thing.
I didn't mind that. I didn't mind getting those tears of light.
Yeah, Zelda, like the Zelda games are kind of like an in-between of Metroidvanias and open world games. Where they kind of have the like expanding open area, but it's usually ability gated rather than plot gated, being like the expansions to that area.
Until it is plot gated.
Yeah, but usually the plot gating is like getting into a dungeon. It's not in the like actual overworld.
That's what it reminds me of. This game looks like it's a machinima or something. Like, the animations look like they were made using some...
Unreal Engine?
I don't know. What do machinima people use for things? It looks...
Halo?
Like, not specifically saying it's of a lower quality than other, like, AAA games. But it looks like they have a specific set of emotions, and then they like apply the emotion to the character, and then it goes away. And it's like a series of that instead of having unique animations or cutscenes. That makes sense.
Oh, wise oracle.
I mean, are you expecting them to have like dynamic?
Well, no, I'm
Um,
not. I'm not. That's the thing. I'm not saying that games should even have this kind of cutscene, but that's what it reminds me of.
Then, how do I get my stolen bracers back?
or that if they're going to do like facial expressions, they should
Yes,
um
that's why I came to
like
you,
hand animate each of them
oracle.
instead of like using a pre-canned apply happiness face.
Oblivion style. Sure, I'm angry.
But this does have a custom character, so there's only so much they can like do by hand.
Yeah.
Have you seen that little guy with
That's
gold
true.
hair?
Though there are games.
I'm going to go.
I assume Andromeda has a editor. Maybe it doesn't.
Character, yeah, you customize your character in all the Mass Effect games.
So they did fix those animations eventually. How do those look?
And I can't save him.
I mean,
If you know.
I played it when it came out and I didn't have any issues.
And all you can
Oh.
do is laugh.
Whoa! Those are all true. Are you
So,
an oracle?
This Oracle is getting told and not even caring.
the Stoner Oracle.
Oh, on your way out, can you pick me up something?
It's like
Oh yeah, he's got the munchies, alright.
Yeah.
so they have passive face, and then they make like an emote, and then they return to passive face. It's like you're playing an MMO or something.
Yeah. I don't know. That's like I'm not sure what your expectation is.
I don't have like I don't think cutscenes need to be fully animated money dumps. It's bad. It's just what I noticed in this game that I don't notice in other games that have cutscenes.
Whoa. Now that was
Well, I will say for Genshin, when they should have cutscenes and they don't. They just have like or not even pre-rendered. Just have the usual bodies talking. It looks terrible. When they have actual cutscenes, it's beautiful.
You can have these bracelets back. You're going to need them with your boy.
Kind of almost rather they just have the bodies talking here, and then they can like spend their time doing something more productive.
Kind of a problem.
Because it seems like this game has a lot of cutscenes,
Not even
It is.
I needed an offer
and
from
like,
Oracle.
yeah, it's a quantity of cutscenes, but then quality just kind of eh. Like they could have done less cutscenes, but better cutscenes. You'd think. Maybe that's not the case.
And they don't feel very well paced either. Like, there's a lot of times where, like, somebody will say something, and then it'll just, like, sit there for a bit. And then somebody will say something else, and they sit there for a bit. Like, they don't really make the conversations flow.
Now who's the thief?
Yeah.
Don't look so smug. They won't fly yet anyway.
It's almost like they're talking on Discord to each other.
What are you being?
That Hermes.
I mean,
Focus.
hey, it's
Uh,
possible that they could have done that for recording their.
It's in there?
So this is
They're
Strange
fine.
Thief. You don't know who he is. He may or may not be Hermes.
Does he talk quickly?
Understand.
You're in
God, I
Uh,
hate so much whenever like someone has a trope and then
But about what you said
like,
earlier,
oh, Hermes has to talk quickly because he's fast,
and you're
Oh,
wrong.
yeah.
and then like, you know, Hades does it. Any game that ever has Hermes does it.
Past that barrier.
Not
Yeah,
that
no.
I've played many of those.
I'm gonna look
So-
him up. I'm guessing that is.
It is Hermes, but he doesn't talk fast in this game.
Ah, called
That's
it.
good.
I knew it was
Glad
Hermes.
Hermes doesn't talk fast.
Also, the cat just closed the bedroom door on himself because
He's just fed up with you.
no, he's in here with me.
Oh,
So soon he's
I'm not trapped in here with you.
you're trapped in here with me.
me.
That's pretty much him, except he's trying to play with a dowel rod. Hi. Come here. Oh, he's. Alright, what's something else we can talk about?
Well,
yeah.
speaking of pacing,
Continuing.
we wanted to like
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the things is like in both open world games and in Metroidvania is like the amount of player freedom that the amount of freedom that the player has means that you can't like tightly like determine the pacing of the game
Mm-hmm.
because the player can do whatever they want whenever they want.
Yeah. Unless
So
it's harmony of dissonance.
what does that game keep you from doing things, or you just are lost all the time?
You're lost all the time. Master
Being
knows.
lost is fun. Wait, do I know?
I mean, you watched me play a bunch of it.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of in the background. Supposed to laugh because someone said you were background noise earlier.
That's right. But yeah, that's true. I mean, unless you choose to do the main quest, the pacing's kind of whatever you want. Especially in like Elder Scrolls games, like especially in Morrowind, where you're pretty much given almost little to do for the main quest until you start becoming like, oh, you're the Nerevari and you gotta become Lord Nerevar.
I don't think I ever actually reached that point.
I did all 6 camps, and then I just never went and finished the game.
I think there was some point that was like they gave me directions somewhere like halfway across the continent, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
It's on Striders and Nodes. I mean, I know that it doesn't have the best fast travel, but it does have a form of fast travel. You just
It was
gotta
more-
pay for it.
It wasn't that like the amount of time that would take to get there. It's just like I had to cross the map and then follow the directions, and the directions were like I'd never like lined them up with the landmarks.
Oh. And see, that's why you use a map. 'Cause now they have like a Morrowind interactive map.
Sounds like cheating.
It's called using your resource. The game was too bad and didn't give you better ones.
Oh no. Please don't use your resources in Loma 1.
No, I'm not going to. Don't worry.
Unless those resources are sub-weapons, you should use the sub-weapons.
Yes. When
You're allowed to take screenshots of things.
Huh?
You're allowed to take screenshots
Oh,
of
I was
things.
gonna get a notebook and just keep notes. Also, you
the-
screwed that one up. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that went flying.
I'm gonna say that was a bug. It wasn't my fault.
I think you
Probably
let go at the wrong time.
I think I tapped the button to like get it to come to me, and it just went flying. And normally it works.
It's like in Control when you tap the button instead of holding it. If you played Control, and it just auto locks on to like the nearest enemy. Except in this case, the nearest enemy was you.
Look out, he's got a gun. Call an ambulance. But not for me.
Except in this case, it is for you because you're targeting yourself.
Yeah. Wait, what are you doing? Oh, are you trying
I
to get
noticed
that
that
little hidden?
chest. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna put that.
Are you ever satisfied with looting these extra chests and shrines?
I think this one actually gave something. There's also a little later in the game you get a quest where you need to complete a certain number of these like side chests in the shrine. Yeah, so I got my first helmet here.
Oh, look at that! It actually has a helmet.
Oh yeah, you find multiples of... Don't you find multiples of it and does some sort of upgrading?
I think that there's sets that you can find, and if you complete a set, it does something. One other thing is that you can choose one gear for the stats, and then choose another gear for the appearance. So if you don't like the way the one looks that you're trying to use, you can use a different look.
Nice. Yeah, so I think for a lot of people, I'm sure the appeal of the open world game is that they can determine their own pacing.
Yeah.
Which of course means like someone could have a terrible time with the game just because they played it wrong.
Yeah. So one game that would you guys consider Dead Rising to be an open world game?
I have never played it, so I would have no idea.
Same.
So it's a it's a zombie game where you're in a mall and you can go pretty much anywhere in the mall. So I would say it's an open world game, but there's certain events that happen at certain times, kind of like the Majora's Mask thing.
Oh, kind of reminds me of Anthem.
Anthem, the BioWare game.
Yeah, I really liked Anthem. Okay. I really thought that game had such good potential, and then Anthem 2.0 was cancelled, and then the guy left, and it's like, ah.
I think it's hilarious that Anthem 2.0 was cancelled. Like, they couldn't even follow through with fixing their game.
Well, the guy left. The head of the company left.
So?
Huh?
It's like the opposite of No Man's Sky.
The rest of the developers were still there.
I know.
It started off bad, and they promised to be better. They were like, never mind.
Out good. Yeah. Like, the trailer for it was amazing. It released, and then it was mediocre. Like, I really enjoyed playing it with friends. But yeah, and then it was bad. Then they kind of fixed it a bit. Then 2.0, we're gonna fix it.
The demo was great, and then it came out, and it's like, oh, this was all of the area that was in the game. Like, we could have just played the demo forever and had about the same amount of content. But yeah, Dead Rising, so that game had all the timed events in an open world game. So that kind of gets around the inability to set pacing, because everything is timed, so that you can set the pacing based on setting the events to occur at whatever time.
I hate
Yeah, and people didn't like that aspect of it. Another thing with the unsighted, where like you have a time limit. So, um, yeah, it's a problem that they tried to solve in a way that was unpopular and may not have actually needed to be solved.
How do you guys feel about time limit?
I hate them. I despise time limits. I didn't start Majora's Mask for literal years because I thought the time constraint was going to be an issue and I was going to hate it. But thankfully they give you enough time with the song or slow time or whatever.
Spoiler.
That is literally something you learn within the first half an hour of the game that you have to utilize for the rest of the game.
Hey man,
It's for
it's
the
not half an hour's
first 30
in it.
minutes.
Oh my god. Are you ever gonna even play Majora's Mask?
Probably at some point.
They tell you it's something you gotta know.
Okay.
Otherwise you will not be able to beat the game. Unless you're like a speed demon.
Wait, when the
I don't
People
think
do
it's
say I
possible.
beat games quickly.
I thought it would be
Or actually, wait, no. It's not possible to beat it all in one day. But,
this sort of thing.
yeah, I guess you could beat it without slow time.
It's impossible.
But yeah, I actually kind of like I like having interesting choices in my games, and time limits do introduce interesting choices in games like Dead Rising and Unsighted. When it's just like a time limit and it doesn't introduce any interesting choices, that is, yeah, I don't like that.
So stressful. I play games
See-
to have fun, not to be stressed.
Yeah,
See-
it is definitely more stressful.
My first thought on hearing time limit in game is, oh no, time limit bad. But that's my monkey brain speaking because my lizard brain, not my monkey brain, because actually time limits can be very interesting and provide a good amount of tension to make a game really more interesting than it otherwise would have been.
Like, did you play Outer Wilds?
Yeah,
So yeah, that has a time limit for each day.
sure, but well, there are actually some annoying aspects to that. But
But the game
Uh,
wouldn't work without it.
right, the game needs it. That's not like could you play unsighted without the time limit?
Yeah, there's actually an option too.
But would you say it was better for having the time limit? It made it a more interesting experience.
I think that for me personally, I preferred it with the time limit, but I think most people who play Metroidvanias would probably prefer it without it. Like, yeah, it creates interesting choices, but it like adds stress and de-emphasizes the exploration because you have to because of the stress, you can't just like relax and explore.
I feel like there's only so many games you can really, so many ways you can really pressure players into doing what you want them to do, or at least pressure them in general.
Well, there's lots of ways to pressure players. It's just like players generally don't like being pressured.
Right. What ways would you think are the best ways to pressure your players into doing things?
Time limits.
Yeah, I think it also depends on the player. It's basically you need to find out figure out what experience the player would want, and then try to avoid violating that.
I mean, okay. Pressure can be a lot more subtle than maybe this conversation is assuming. It can be like pressuring a player can be the music's really scary, so I don't want to spend too much time here because this place creeps me out.
Oh, I love that kind of atmosphere. I stay longer.
See? See, you like it when games pressure their players. Admit it. You
You
just
know,
did.
I like
Boom.
horror things. They don't scare me, so obviously I'm gonna stay longer. Unless it's like what was it? Lost in Vivo, where the thing was coming. The roly demon girl.
Yeah, that's another way to pressure your players by having like some enemy there.
Yeah. Enemies are a really good way.
Interesting way is the after a certain amount of time in a room, an immortal enemy appears, and it encourages you to go quickly through something.
That just reminds me
Yeah.
of the Yeti from the skiing game where it just chases you after you get to a certain point. Or oh, what was it called? Star thing. The Star game.
What?
I forgot the name, but it's there's a
Are you thinking of Ski Free?
no.
Super Mario Galaxy?
It's considered one of the terrifying like original video game characters. M Star. Oh.
Oh, the shmup where
Yeah.
shoot, I don't remember the name of it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, where it just starts screaming at you if it gets too close.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it.
How do you both know this but not remember
Here.
anything about it?
I'm gonna look it up.
I've never actually played the game. It's just like I've seen stuff about it.
Sinistar. Sinistar.
Yeah. Yep.
God. That was pressure. I remember playing that when I was like 7 or 8, and I had no idea what to do, but then that thing appeared and I was like, what's going on?
Oh, nice. That, yeah, like games such as Spelunky will have Spelunky has ghosts spawn in, I believe, that will chase you around until you leave the level, and it's not a good idea to be in the level when the ghost appears because they're annoying to stay away from.
Mm.
So it's more of like, hey, you're probably taking too long here. We don't want you, like getting every single piece of loot on the map, so we're gonna spawn in this enemy. And it's not, it's like if you're completing the level in a fairly reasonable amount of time and going to the end, relatively quickly, you won't encounter them. That kind of helps set the pacing for what you should expect to be spending on a level.
Mm-hmm.
So are there any Metroidvanias that you can think of that do something like that?
Exactly like that. No, but I feel like I'm forgetting something.
I mean, Dread kind of?
Like the Emmys?
Yeah.
Like you can't linger too long in the Emmy zones.
Yeah.
But there's not really anything to do in there. Like at that point.
Exactly.
If there were things to do, then I think it would be an example of it.
Oh, I know. Metroid. When you have the heat areas. And
That is time pressure.
And
Yeah.
sometimes you do have to get through there. Well, or you do what I do and just tank it, even though you really shouldn't. It's fun.
Yeah, Dread actually did a thing with those areas where I think that it like increased the amount of damage you take the longer you're in there.
That makes sense.
In the latest Path of Exile update, whenever you're in a zone, you can warp into an alternate version of that zone, which is inhabited by demons. But the more demons you kill in that area, the better the loot is, but the more damage that you take. So there's you have an incentive and a disincentive there. It creates an interesting balance of how much do I want to do in this area before I'm probably gonna get killed.
Annihilated.
They're Metroidvanias. I can't think of too many other forms of pressure. There is always the pressure players by telling them the plot and that the plot is important, and hopefully they'll be motivated enough to keep playing the game. But I don't think that's a very good way to motivate your players unless your story is really good. course, same can be said for like character
Yeah,
interactions.
yeah, it's funny how there's like all these games where they're like, "Oh man, you have to go do this thing because somebody's like right about to die any second now," and it's just like, yeah, I know that's not true. I'll be there in like 2 hours if I feel like it.
If I feel like it. Chase scenes, I will say. Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance has one. Portrait of Ruin has one. That's it. Rondo of Blood has one, but that's not a Vanias.
What do you mean by chasing?
There's an unbeatable enemy, and you have to get through fast enough, usually destroying and breaking walls or something, so you don't die. Until
Crash
a certain
Bandicoot
point.
level.
Huh?
Crash Bandicoot level.
Yeah, pretty much. It is a Crash Bandicoot level, yeah.
There is. So Super Metroid, you have Krakow Meyer. You have to do, a certain amount of damage to him to get him to the other edge of the arena. But if you don't do enough damage, he'll push you to your edge. And that's
Yeah.
Tug of War is. You could say that's a different sort of incentive. It's not an incentive. It's just a different way to have progress, I suppose.
Monkey brain compels you to win. And my cat just fell off his cat tree. It's fat.
Oh, should work on that.
Yeah, he's getting a health checkup soon, so. Tell me how to diet him. I like how you get all these cool things, and then you're gonna be getting, like, probably whatever later.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a new axe at some point when I was playing later. I don't even remember what it was, but it's like a side grade, and like you do wind up being able to like upgrade your like your weapons, and it's just like, okay, this is like the weapon of a legendary hero or a god, and like I'm just gonna throw some metal at it and upgrade it. This character has never
Yes.
crafted anything in their life.
They're Greek, they're fine. They'll know.
Yeah.
I'm sure Chief will.
Yeah, Chief will probably be able to like look at this place and be like, "Oh, that's this area in Greece. These events happened there."
Oh my god.
That's assuming this game is actually accurate to Greece.
Like how you just stick a rock into the hole.
Yeah, like, hey, maybe it'll work. I don't know how it detects whether it's an orb or a rock.
Do these
It
kinds
knows.
of activities stimulate you at all?
Not really. This one is quite annoying because like all the other pushable blocks, you just walk up to them and then you press the button to like grab hold of them, and then you can push them. But this one doesn't work that way.
Oh.
Don't you just use the magnet here?
Nope, that doesn't work. That doesn't grab that one. It grabs the thing on top.
Then how does it work?
So instead of pushing it by going up and pressing the button that grabs the block and pushes it, you have to just run into it enough.
Oh, okay.
That's dumb.
Yeah, you really want to be consistent with that kind of thing in your game.
Yeah.
It's... You can have terrible usability, but then if it's at least consistent, and once you learn how to do something, you can always do it. watching you struggle trying to push this block. Yeah, I wonder what is the audience for this game? But who's gonna play this game?
I think Phaserman played it, so
Mhm.
I guess what's the and I have also played it, so I guess what's the overlap between us?
You both like Metroidvania.
Okay, there we go.
You're both you're both male, I assume.
Yeah.
Both play video games.
Okay.
I'm just what does the casual gamer feel about these sorts of activities? Like,
I don't
maybe
mind
they
them.
haven't played enough games to start hating them yet, because they don't realize,
I mean,
same
Some
types of
people just
activities between games.
want activities.
yeah,
Like,
and I've dealt with worse, so this wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, that's just what I'm wondering. How many people want activities in their games?
it's like people keep buying Assassin's Creed games.
Right, but if you ask someone why they like this open world game, is their answer going to be the random activities?
Maybe. Maybe they
Why?
consider them puzzles.
Isn't that the Witness? Like, that is the whole Witness game.
The Witness is literally puzzles. What do you mean?
It is activities
It's
with puzzle glazing on
puzzles.
top. Eh.
It's puzzles, and then there is like a layer of activity to the puzzles, but you're still solving puzzles and then being introduced to novel puzzle mechanics and just overplaying the hell out of the line puzzle game.
But this one introduces you to new activity mechanics.
Does it? How many of these activities are going to be putting things onto pressure plates?
Some of them are shooting arrows at things.
Some of them are different shaped pressure plates.
They're just all switches. Everything's a switch.
Everything. The Switch is a
But
switch with a switch inside.
bosses are switches.
Hmm.
I feel like that's actually a boss at some point in Castlevania. Oh, well. No, you get a switch thing from a boss.
That would be funny if there was just a boss that was just a switch. And it was just like just a really hard to like toggle switch.
What did activities look like in older games?
What kind of older you?
Like, I don't know, I mean, I'm thinking, you have activities in Spyro. Those are activities.
Collecting all the gems.
Well, that's the premise of a collectathon. That's not an
Yeah,
activity. You have
usually you do.
sub-activities.
Usually you do an activity to get the gem.
No, you usually do an activity to get the artifact. The gems are a side collectathon, not the main one.
Yeah,
I
but you're
suppose.
still doing something to collect them. They don't just like fly into you from like as soon as you spawn into the level.
I mean, they do if they're spawned right there.
What does that even mean?
So, you know how if you spawn in and there's gems like right in front of you and sometimes they just fly into you because you're right there.
I've not experienced that. But okay, so consider like I don't know, Spyro 2. You have like you have different gimmicks as your activities.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, like
And
skateboarding and stuff.
sure, or like playing hockey or racing or
Yeah.
random stuff or kill this enemy 10 times.
No, that was Spyro 3. The skateboarding, sorry.
Close enough.
Well, and then Spyro 3 also had the other playable character gimmicks.
Spoilers.
How's that spoilers? You learn that literally within 10 minutes!
Haven't played it yet.
Well, just for the first 10 minutes.
That, yeah, you know what gets spoiled for the first 10 minutes. It's literally on the box art! It says it on the back of the disc! Like, I think I still have the PS1 thing for. Do you want me to go grab it and read the back to you?
I do not. No.
I don't want to be spoiled by the back of the disc.
The thing you literally read, or the case. Thing you literally usually read before you bought a game.
Hey, sometimes the back of it will say something like, it'll be about something in the plot that's not revealed until like Act 2.
Rayman be like. You really do not like that block.
I don't like that block.
I waste
Okay,
so much time on this block.
So you have these different. What would you say is more fulfilling in the end? This kind of activity or random gimmick activity?
I mean, what's the difference? This
Yeah, I
seems
was
like a
gonna
random
say.
thing.
Well,
I was
this
so
isn't
mad when I got pushed that block.
this isn't like a random one-off gimmick though. This is just a generic activity that you'll probably do in many places around the game.
Yeah.
They stole it
But,
from
like,
Skyrim.
You know, say like again Spyro, you have random gimmick which is like, oh, I'm riding a minecart for this activity. I'm never doing that again. What would you prefer?
What, like pushing blocks or having some random mini game?
Yeah,
Is that
random
what you're
mini
saying?
games versus this sort of activity.
I prefer having things that are like within the same like game space, so I think I would prefer this. It is good to have some mini games to like break up the pace of the game, though, as long as they're not like things that are going to completely block you from progressing.
I see.
A son? Icarus was his nephew, wasn't it? Hold up. Hold up. Lore inconsistency.
Don't worry, unreliable narrator. He probably forgot.
What? I didn't kill Icarus.
Yeah, it is Prometheus. He hasn't been like he's been stuck in that place getting his liver
Oh
eaten
no,
every
it was his
paper.
father.
I see.
I thought they were. I thought he was his nephew for some reason.
Eventually.
There might have been different versions of the myth.
They're absolutely. That's probably the reason.
Oh no, he had, along with a nephew. Oh no! Yeah, he killed his nephew, but it was a different one, and then his son was Icarus. Okay, okay.
Why'd he kill his nephew?
He was annoying. I'm pretty sure, and he threw
Oh.
something over so he could work. Died.
Understandable.
Here, I'm gonna read it quick here. Curious. Oh, Dalitus was so envious of his nephew's accomplishments that he murdered him by throwing him down from the Acropolis in Athens.
Oh, that's a bit less understandable.
Yeah. He made the saw. He made a saw. And made a pair of compasses, and yeah, Daedalus? I don't know how to pronounce his name. Daedalus?
Daedalus.
Daedalus. Yeah, he was salty AF, and he just said, "Hey nephew, come here, watch this." Pushes him and kills him. Literally what he did. And then Athena turned him into a partridge.
Oh, this is the part where I'm trying to figure out how to how to use my skill points, and I wind up in the pay store.
Did you buy something?
No. But yeah, there's
There's too many
This-
menus. There's just like 4 menus of just. What was the star menu?
I don't know. I just saw that pretty much everything was like paid stuff, so I didn't.
Either way, all the menu it does not come off in a a good way when your game just has multiple menus where you have dollars on them
Yeah.
and you have to pay for things.
Especially since this is a AAA game with AAA prices. I think I bought it on sale, so it wasn't $60 when I bought it, but I'm pretty sure it was $60 when it came out.
This really seems like it's something they would not charge $60 for.
I mean,
But
it's
I mean, of course they
Ubisoft.
would. Yeah, of course they would. Just like it gives off mad AA vibes
Hmm.
to me.
Yeah,
Instead of
delivery boy,
AAA.
right there.
We'll take you down, Typhon, just like before.
Wow, that pose.
The JoJo almost pose with the arms on the hips.
Uh-huh. Just randomly doing it while they have an item equipped. As many games do. Just ignore the item.
How did the wings help? The wings would have blown you away more.
I don't
What?
think.
They're magic. Don't worry about
Oh
it.
my god, hand waved by magic. Oh
Hey, it
god.
did say
The
earlier that the
wizard did it.
wings were like storm resistant, so
Okay, that's more fair.
wind is part of a storm,
Okay.
as is lightning.
To safety. Stat.
As is
Which is
thunder.
why, yeah, she didn't die to the lightning earlier or whatever.
Yeah.
Typhon.
Not the.
So this is an isekai.
Oh, you have
Huh?
no idea.
What?
What's this in Izukai? She's from here.
Yeah.
You ready to fly?
She doesn't know what's going on.
Daedalus's wings. The Daedalus, the great
Doesn't know any of
inventor.
these people.
So,
So they didn't work.
mean-
I mean, she's like heard of them, but as like myths.
don't fly too close to
Right.
the
So she's going. Is she going from the mortal realm into the
during turbulence.
god realm?
No, the gods walk among them. They just usually stay quiet, and she had no reason to interact with them. She is now becoming part of a myth.
Literally robbed me.
Yeah.
And now you're saving me.
Still gonna call this an isekai.
Oh my god, it is not an isekai.
What the oracle
Is it kind of like a reverse isekai where like you're like in the same place as you were before, but like all the other stuff comes into that place?
from remaking the world?
Or you're like discovering that there's stuff there that you didn't know was there all along?
Someone trying to help everyone.
Sounds Lovecraftian.
Maybe you should accept help once in a
Yep.
while.
Yeah.
This is a Lovecraftian horror game.
What are you talking about?
Lovecraftian isekai.
It's alive. How is the winged herald supposed to provide
Lovecraftian reverse
if
isekai.
you won't let me?
With the
True.
Winged Herald's aid. Wait. Winged Herald? No way! You
Let's see. So what we talked about?
Oh yeah, that's
Um,
true. We should probably wrap up.
Oh yeah. Hey, there you go.
Metroidvania's open world game. Uh,
Oh yeah, so we never talked about how like a Metroidvania tends to like kind of becomes an open world game at the end of it, and like how some games can handle the transition to that better than others.
yeah, the final state is just you can explore everything because you have everything and you've been everywhere already. Probably.
Well, you may not have been everywhere, but now you can go everywhere and
At
you have
least-
all the abilities.
Once you get the main abilities, yeah.
Yeah, once all the gates are open, the world is open to you.
Is it an open world game at that point? Oh hey, we're ending at the title screen prologue.
Yeah, I guess this would be a good time to end it. It's about 4 minutes until the game crashes on me. So.
Oh,
Oh yeah, we're good. We got time.
Yeah, so I unlocked the glide from Breath of the Wild.
yeah.
It looks like a lot more of an effective glide, though. It doesn't look as slow.
Yeah, it's faster, but I think it drains stamina faster as well.
Worst part about playing this game is probably just like everything being slow and taking longer because of the frame rate slowdowns, assuming those are occurring.
Well, the frame rate doesn't just means that there's less frames. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean
less
that
frames,
it
but
runs
usually
slower.
Usually low frames is accompanied by a slowdown.
Yeah, not necessarily.
I mean, maybe the game is just slower than I expected it to be, and you're not experiencing slowdowns. It
Yeah, I
kind of
think
looks like you are at some points.
it has a lot of like hit pause, like when you do a parry or like stun the enemy, then it or kill an enemy, then it like does this big flash and like stops the game for a good bit.
Speaking of parries, how do you feel about the parry in this game?
It's okay.
It exists.
Yeah, it's not as like dominant as it is in like Assassin's Creed.
You would say that's a good thing?
Yeah, like Assassin's Creed winds up just being like you don't do anything, and then you wait for the enemy to attack you, and then you press the parry button, and they're dead. It's like there's almost no point in attacking, except for like the most minor enemies. Like you can just kill them.
Whenever the gameplay crashes, we should just abruptly end the stream.
Yeah, I can do that.
No outro or anything.
No outro.
Do the outro right now and then just start talking about stuff till it crashes.
Yeah,
We don't need an outro.
No, we're fine.
yeah.
Can you kill him?
Yeah,
Kill 'em.
just by now.
Oh, I shot one of them, and it just poofed.
Oh, it did the poof, yeah. Oh, those guys look evil.
Why? Because they're red?
Because they look like they're summoning the devil. What do you mean?
They're just gathered around one of the shrine holes.
With a bunch of fire coming out of it.
It's a shrine hole. There's
I mean,
activities in there.
if one of those appeared like on your campus, would you go check it out?
Yeah, I would.
So then you would be somebody
Well-
that was next to one of these shrine holes.
That
Yeah,
makes
and then you
Master
just
an enemy.
murder me.
Yep.
Yeah. Alright.
There are like Stonehenge look. Oh, okay. There's big rocks on campus.
Look at those
and-
bears.
You know, if there was ever gonna be like a demonic summoning, it would be at those rocks.
Ours would probably be the buffalo statue. Or the bison statue.
What kind of statue is it?
I think it's a bronze one? Brass? It's metal.
Sounds metal. Finding the icons looks tedious.
It is.
Yeah.
You could just not find icons and explore around without revealing things on the map.
I could,
Maybe you'd enjoy it more.
probably. But then I wouldn't know where to go.
Oh,
Just
we never
explore.
even talked about like open world games versus open world survival craft. So like, I don't know, Valheim, something slightly thematic in a perverse way.
I've heard Valheim's pretty
Actually-
good.
Like the only game like that I've played is Minecraft. And that was like an old beta version.
Valheim, you're basically gated into biomes until you do things like killing a boss, and then
I think it crashes here.
you're able to go to the other biome. Or at least the next biome.
Alright. Good night.
Oh.
Bye!
Bye.